Something else I wanted to do is show you something. This wood I'm using, probably the softest wood you'll ever see. And a lot of guys use really soft wood when they're testing out a knife. It doesn't make any sense to me. For example, this knife. We've all seen fail on hard wood. And I'm sure there's numerous videos out there of this thing splitting through big pieces of wood. And there's a reason for that. Because those big pieces of wood are pretty soft and easy to split. This knife definitely has the capability of doing it. But let me do a little demonstration on here for you guys so you can see the difference between a hardwood and a softwood and what actually happens. Some people don't really understand. Alright, I'm not real sure how this is going to turn out because I got to start the engine on this thing. But I don't know if you heard it or I got cut off. But what I want to do here is show you the difference. A lot of people go out and baton wood. And they show, hey, look how great this knife is when batoning wood. I always personally try to choose hardwoods, mainly because I live near hardwood forest and there's a lot of hardwood. And if I ever use a knife to baton, that's what I'd be having to baton through. And I don't know that everybody really understands the difference between a softwood and a hardwood. So using my 35-ton log splitter here, I'm going to split some softwood. I want you to see the reaction that wood has to the wood splitter. Then I'm going to split some hardwood. So I'm going to split today, I'm not even sure what I'm splitting. I think the maple is going to serve as our semi-hardwood. I actually have, I got some hickory here too. But the hardness of the wood is not everything. It's also the texture of the wood inside that you have to worry about when you're splitting, especially with a knife, because of the stresses you're putting them under. But I'm going to start with a softwood and show you how that reacts, and that's going to be popular. And I think I have here some maple, and I also have some hickory that'll serve as demonstrations to different types of hardwood. And although on the Jenka scale, maybe the hickory is considered a high hardness of wood, when you're actually splitting it or batoning it with a knife, maple, although on the Jenka scale again, it's softer than a hickory, it's going to react different. It's going to be more difficult to go through because of the actual way it's constructed inside, the makeup of it. All right, so let me start this thing up. I'm going to try and yell over the loudness of it. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but I'm going to try to talk to you over top of the sound. Popular. Popular is considered a soft wood. Now watch what happens when we split it. You see that? Just a clean break. Breaks cleanly apart. You don't have to go through this wood very far to split it. Go through it slower. All the bother we went through, the whole thing split. Now let's see what happens with maple. how fibrous that is. It's these fibers that make it difficult to split, especially when you're using a knife. Give you a close-up of that. All those fibers in there still wanting to stick together. They don't snap cleanly apart like they do in the Popular. But you're going to have the same problem when you're going through with a knife. It's what makes it very difficult on a lot of harder woods. And not only hardwoods, but fibrous woods. But then, as I said, maple is actually not as hard as a hickory, which I'll do next. But hickory is not as fibrous. Here we have hickory. But the fibers do not attach themselves as hard as the maple does. Right, so here we have hickory. Hickory is a fairly fibrous wood. It's not like the Popular, but it's not quite as fibrous as the maple. As you can see, the fibers are still sticking together, but they're a lot smaller. I'm going to do some more maple now. Look at all the fibers. It's a more difficult wood to split. Alright, now some of you are probably asking, okay, Iron Monkey Z, so what? Who cares? What does it really matter? Well, it matters because if you're watching a knife review and somebody pulls out wood like this Popular, like pine, Popular, aspen, softwoods like this, and they're splitting it with their knives and saying, oh, this is a great batoner. Here's my RD9. This, you know, and I'm not picking on anybody. I don't want anybody to think that this is not a video aimed at anyone. I don't want you guys to think I'm picking on anyone, because this is not a video aimed at anyone. This is just for your knowledge. When someone picks out a piece of wood like this, like a Popular, a pine, an aspen, things like that. Soft maple, not sugar maple. Sugar maple's hard. You have maple, and then you have sugar maple. Sugar maple is what you get maple syrup from. What that is. I believe that's what that is. I'm not sure. But it's a very fibrous wood. When they pull out their thing with a piece of poplar, a piece of pine, and they whack on that blade, splits that thing, you know, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. No problems there, Batoning. You need to think to yourself, when you see that, what kind of wood are they batoning? This isn't fresh cut wood, this is old wood. It should be easier to split. It's cold wood. It's been sitting outside all day. It should be easier to split. But when they go through it that easily, that type of wood, you gotta ask yourselves, what kind of wood are they using? Now, to the contrary, let's say they pull out a piece of maple like this. You notice something, don't you? It's not quite as easy, is it? Even though I've taken a small chunk off of this, it's not as easy. Because the wedging that your knife is doing, you can see it's splitting, but it's not, I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll focus in for you. You can see that the wood is indeed splitting. But look where it's splitting. It's not following the knife edge. It's splitting to the other side of the knife edge. So now you are actually cutting through what's right under your blade because the fiber's sticking together so hard. It could be due to sap. It could just be due because that's the type of wood it is. But that's why I tell you, or that's why I'm telling you about the different types of woods. When you're watching someone baton through wood with a knife, and I don't care how big the piece of wood is. It could be a 1-inch log. It could be a 5-foot log. If they're batoning through it with great ease, you have to ask yourself, what kind of wood is that? And then ask yourself, is that wood around where I live? Is this what I'm going to be using on a day-to-day basis? If I'm out in a camping or survival situation? Or am I going to be in a hardwood forest camping, you know? Am I going to be in a pine forest or am I going to be in a hardwood forest? Where am I going to be? And that's what you want to be cognizant of when you're watching a knife review. It's also why I always use hardwood in my test. Because if it'll go through the hardwood, I guarantee you it will go through the softer wood. Alright, but people who only use softwood, they only use pine, or they're using store-bought, pressure-treated, kiln-dried lumber to do their knife test, it's not showing you a true picture of how that knife's going to perform. Again, I'm not trying to call out anybody here. I'm just saying to my viewers, well, here's a little knowledge I'm going to impart on you. Alright? Especially, though, when you see the kiln-dried lumber. The stuff that you go to buy at Home Depot and Lowe's, there's no reason for anyone to do any kind of test on that because you're never, ever, ever going to find that kind of wood out in the forest.